Pike says, "Oh, great idea, Spock." He has to say, "No, that was not a suggestion."
That was not a suggestion. Hail, Internet! It's Paul. It's Matt, the Dork Lords. We are here talking about Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, Season 1, Episode 4, Memento Mori. We open with the ship commemorating Starfleet Remembrance Day. The crew wears pins to commemorate coworkers, friends, and family that they've lost. Which, by the way,
yes.
If you happen to be wearing a red shirt and the episode opens that way, good luck! Sure enough, we get some anonymous crew member deaths in this episode. But like, oh no, don't start that way. No. Oh.
Did you track the shirts?
When I say red shirt, I'm speaking metaphorically.
Yeah. I see. They were red shirts in their hearts.
They had red shirts in their hearts, exactly. The ship is en route to a remote colony on essentially a milk run. Right? It's like, we're just delivering parts. Which also, by the way, should be another dead giveaway to a red shirt. Just with Star Trek lore, if I was, let's say, a red shirt, and I had the choice of taking the milk run or the seems like certain death mission, I'd take the certain death mission every time. Those milk runs are way more dangerous for red shirts. Anyway, so, but they do that. They go. Obviously, things go horribly wrong. We end with the funerals of said anonymous red shirts after the Enterprise has escaped the Gorn, living to fight another day. Paul,
yes.
What did you think of episode 4?
I liked it. I think I enjoyed it more than the previous episodes.
I agree.
I liked the pacing, and I liked. I kind of like sometimes when you get those submarine kind of shows.
The submarine episode.
You gotta. Figure out tactics and stuff. And I like the bits, I like all the character bits in this one. La'an is an interesting character, and it was a good episode for Hammer, and I'm quite fond of him, and I enjoyed it. I mean, I guess the thing that perhaps could have worked better for me is the stuff with, number one in the sick bay.
Okay.
That stuff, that didn't do that much for me. But the rest of it I really enjoyed.
Obviously it was like kind of giving everybody a hero moment, right? So for her it was like, I'm sacrificing myself, use the blood on a fellow crew member. What was there some part of that didn't work for you?
No, just was sort of like, that's commendable. That's boring.
Okay. I guess we also see the extent, the limitations of her Illyrian bioengineering. She's not Wolverine, I guess, right?
No.
I
was amused by the whole. I thought you said you're okay. I got that wrong.
Yeah. No, I thought this was a quality episode for sure. I think any fan of Star Trek would see this, recognize it as Trek, and really enjoy the hell out of it. I thought it was, as you mentioned, we talked about last week the trope of the Outbreak style Trek episode.
Yes.
This is the Submarine Duel episode, and they got it right. It was very good. I guess it's obviously probably the original Submarine Duel was the Balance of Terror from the original series, and this plays a lot like that. With the big difference being, we never see the Gorn.
Yes.
Never see them, and I think that works out really well. We know that they're these like reptilian bipeds.
Yes,
so
we do know that.
Our imagination kind of fills in the gaps.
Thankfully.
So
I went back and looked at that episode of Arena where Kirk has to fight that Gorn, and my God, there's several scenes where he's throwing punches at Kirk. It's just so slow that it's quite easy for Kirk to, not get hit.
Yeah, it's tough to imagine that version of the Gorn being these like mastermind tactician guys or something. But hey, which is one Gorn.
That's part of their, are really gonna get over on people. They're so fooled by my adorable lizardness that they don't realize that I'm really quite savvy and evil.
I suppose also by not showing the Gorn, they're kind of skating the canon issues of
right
what you're talking about, Arena, Kirk versus the Gorn, because in that was kind of like this is this thing you've never seen before. So in some ways it's interesting. I started thinking about this. So La'an is the only one that's seen a Gorn and lived.
Yeah. Yes.
And she's also got knowledge of Khan. So she's like this compendium of things that would be helpful for the Kirk's Enterprise to know. Which also makes me think maybe she's gonna get matted or something at some point before the end of this series. Like it would. She knows a lot of stuff that would be helpful, and she's working on the Enterprise. So you figure, like, are they got to kill her off and to kind of make sense of the timeline at some point?
Look at you, only imagining death for her. Like, she could be transferred off the ship.
Transfers. You just talked about boring. That would be boring. Oh, here's your papers. Thanks. I guess I'll go work. No, she dies heroically, going out, punching the Gorn in the face. Creating a rudimentary lathe to make gunpowder.
I see. Yeah. I see. I was sort of skimming that episode of Arena, and one of the things that occurred is, they mentioned, and I don't know if it's this settlement they mentioned, but it's like, oh no, the people that we killed were invading us or whatever. So, Spock and McCoy were sort of like, oh, maybe it wasn't their fault, or maybe they, were just trying to protect themselves or something. And in this, it's hard to imagine. They really seem ruthless. They don't come off especially well this race.
You're talking, the Gorn, yeah.
The Gorn, yeah.
I'll say this, an interesting little parallel to the Arena is the moment when La'an says something like, hey, I know the Federation's all about making contact, and if you understand your enemies, but this, in some cases like this, it doesn't work. They're just evil.
Yeah. But evil, yeah.
But then if you think about the resolution to Arena, when Kirk has the chance to kill the Gorn, he doesn't.
He doesn't, yeah.
And so, in some ways, maybe he's disproving that hypothesis. I don't know, maybe not.
Well, that's the funny thing, where it's sort of like, wow, you decided to take mercy on this creature here. Maybe you're not as bad as we thought. You might be not quite so savage. Anyway, so he's back on the ship. Do you want me to kill him? It's like
this reminded me a lot also of not just the Arena, but the Next Generation's first contact with the Borg. So in that one, you had this one character who'd seen them before. In that case, it was Guinan, issuing dire warnings. You can't match these guys. Yeah. And then that battle also ends not with a victory, but with escape and the kind of the promise of a rematch. That said, do you think we'll get a rematch? At least, let's say, in season 1?
You're limiting it to season 1. You don't think within the course of the series that they might see the Gorn again?
Yeah, I mean, I think within the course of the series, assuming the series, gets legs for multiple seasons, then yes, they'll probably come back. But I feel like, you could make the case, hey, it's a convincing villain. They just had this run-in. They barely escaped it. Probably a few episodes later, they're going to, rematch. But I think they're going to let that go. I think they're going to let that percolate for a while. But
I don't have a sense of it. I mean, even though La'an puts the pin on at the end of the episode, it's a weird place to leave. I guess if I had a choice, I guess I would prefer them not to. I mean, it's not like I don't think there's. I don't want this show to change canon too much. Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Right. The more we know about the Gorn, less creepy and indomitable they become, and also the more canon breaking it becomes. So, I even read a little article with one of the showrunners who was saying like they were acknowledging like that's one of the reasons they didn't show the Gorn here was like we're trying not to be too canon breaking in our use of the Gorn, I guess. But.
Sure.
So it's an interesting kind of like when and how will they bring them back? Because they've set them up now as the Borg of this show.
You're thinking that because of what they're just a villain?
Well, I mean they're the Borg of this show.
A ruthless villain. I mean the Borg. They assimilate you, and you could potentially be freed.
Well, I feel like here they're assimilating people too, right? Like
they're into their stomachs. They
right.
can't.
We are feeding you to our young.
If you come out, you're not. You don't come out of that.
Well, right. I mean, if you're saying are they a 1-to-1 correlation to the Borg? No, but are they? Apparently unbeatable foe that also once they get your civilization, you're doomed. Yeah, I think it's an interesting way to create this big bad, but then what do you do with them in the going forward? Maybe they're not the big bad. Maybe there's a bigger bad that's like, oh, that's why the Gorn are attacking because they're running from someone else. It was an effective concept to not show them and just. I also do like this trope. It's an engaging trope of these submarine style episodes where our heroes get repeatedly outsmarted. Like they come up with a plan. They're like, look, guys, we got to use teamwork. And they do it, and they come up with a plan that sounds reasonable, sounds like it'll work. And then they pull it off, but the other side anticipated it, and it actually makes things worse. You actually end up worse than you were. Those are really nice because it brings you to this moment of like, how can they possibly succeed?
Then they come up with, I would argue, the best laugh line in all of Star Trek when Spock says, if we went over to this place, it would be certain death. And then Pike says, "Oh, great idea, Spock." He has to say, "No, that was not a suggestion."
That was not a suggestion. As I say, everybody gets a hero moment. Uhura gets her hero moment. She proves her worth to Hemmer.
Yeah.
Chapel resorts to the 21st century medicine, sewing with thread. Lon, they use this mind meld to revisit her tragic past, learning about Gorn communications so she can make one ship fire on another. Pike. I'll say that something I will give Anson Mount major props for, generally, but especially in this episode. His facial expressions, his nonverbals, are really effective. He tells a lot about how he's captaining.
A lot of experience playing Black Bolt, so
that's right. Good point. Mustn't talk.
It's like, what expression should I have for retreat?
Right. I will say that Lon's memory of being saved by her brother is a bit convenient. I mean, in terms of like, I'm rescuing you, and by the way, I wrote down their language. This will be important for a plot line later. It was just, it's very convenient that it's like, I'm not only saving your life, teenage brother, to my sister, I'm also handing you notes that I've been writing, apparently, as we've been running from these things, to copy their language, that this will probably help you in a decade. Go. Anyway, whatever. But that's fine. They had to have some reason for the memory to then be useful in the present, and so that was their way to do it. It was just a little like, okay, that seems like something that'd be like the last on my list of priorities. If I'm in a cave being attacked, hunted by reptiles, like just need to get out of the cave. Let's get out of this cave. Hang on, what was the click? Oh, that probably means I'm going to kill you now.
I don't know. If you were, let's say, Newt,
sure.
in Aliens, and it's like, okay, how do I understand these creatures who are going to kill me? I'm going to hide from them, so I want to understand them as much as possible.
They only come out at night, mostly. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So maybe this was their version of that, which is, okay, they're using these strange lights. That's not good.
Well, that also then suggests that that brother and sister, Lon and her brother, were in those caves for a long time, right? I mean, that's not something you just pick up and like, let me just write these down.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, the way she made it seem, though, is like they were going through, all these people, and it took them. It seemed to, ultimately, she was saying
when they're hungry. All right, get the next one.
Yeah, so it's like saying like the what was the worst was the belief that things were going to be okay or something. So that you don't. If it was only a few hours, I feel like it wouldn't be as indelible.
Right. Good point. We also in that mind meld, because mind melds work both ways. We get this little Burnham Easter egg of Burnham
Yes.
talking to Spock, and so Lon realizes that he had a sibling that also basically sacrificed herself for him. So
Yes.
they share something. It was, in my opinion, like you mentioned, I think it's the best of the 4, and it's high quality. If all the episodes were like this, more power to it. I mean, it's really really good stuff. I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Spock is next. Yep.
The Duck Amuck episode, hopefully. Yeah.
Spock all around episode.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I've got. So we'll be back talking about Obi-Wan episodes 1 and 2, which have just dropped.
Yes,
and
they have just dropped.
We will be talking about Spock Amok. So thank you as always, Paul.
TCS. Oh, you're welcome.
Appreciate it, sir. Happy holiday, everybody. If this is actually, if I get this out in time. And we'll talk to everybody next time. Bye.
Bye.